All right, 6:32, I'll call the meeting to order. First up, modifications and changes. And
We do have a couple things. A modification on the village pool pass thing. It's 900, not 800. I put on there. And then we just got to add Andy using Moncomo as the tax sale lawyer.
okay, let's do that after like 3.5. Review and approval after that.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Just those two modifications. Public comment, nobody here from the public tonight. So we'll move on to review and approval for the minutes of November 28th.
They look good?
Sandy says they look good, they're good. Motion to accept.
Second.
Ela with the first and Heather, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Boy, if the night ever comes that I haven't read these.
And those opposed, nay.
We'll have to sit there.
Okay, up next, we need to make a motion to allow Andy to use Von Como for our tax lawyer.
Move.
Second.
Eli and Sandy, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay, up next, we have the library asking for some support with the Hard Act Pool Pass. Good evening.
Hey, hello. So I know last year I came to you about the ARP funds, or this, back in January, February it was. Hard Act Pool Pass has been very popular, over 82 checkouts this year. And I didn't know if there was still some funds available to be able to do that again. What it does is allows a family of 4 to check the pass out for the day and go to the pool for free. And that's why it's very popular. And it's not just families with children. We have some of our seniors who enjoy going down to the pool for physicalness.
How much does it cost to go to the pool without a pass?
When I take my 2 kids and myself, it's like $60.
Yeah, this is a
Really
huge.
expensive.
Very, especially being a non-St. Albans resident, we're charged at a higher rate, so it's expensive.
So, what we were looking to do is to, they won't do a pass for a full year. They were doing it quarter, but now they had just started the 6 month. And so we were looking to do the pass, 1 pass for the full year we'd pay for, and 1 pass for 6 months. Because in the summer we have the state park passes, we have all that, people have their pools out. So we're more looking to utilize those cold months for people to be able to get out and do something. So, you know, we're looking at $2,700. I'm just looking to see if you guys can fund for like a 6 month period is what it would amount for. And then I would ask the town and our library budget to kick in the rest of that.
It's 2,700 total.
Yeah, to do 1 pass for the full year and 1 pass for half the year.
So it'd be,
$900 for 6 months.
Yeah, so that's, you know, that's why I figure, you know, I wanna ask the town again from their ARPA funds, if they have some left, to try to do that again before putting it into the tax budget.
so unfortunately, all of our ARPA funds are allocated. And so last year it was nice because we had those ARPA funds and they were split evenly between the town and village. So nobody was getting double taxed. And this is where it gets sticky.
I know.
So-
I know how this works.
Right.
That's why you notice I was saying ARPA.
Yeah. Have you talked to the town at all?
I have, and they had suggested I come down and see if you still had some funds to help with that or not.
Where were they planning on pulling it from ARPA still?
I believe so.
Sam, can I interject for a minute?
Yeah.
Not to go against what you just said, but based upon the amount of interest that we accrue in that savings account, we would have enough to fund this if the board chooses to without tapping into what's been allocated.
For the savings, the settlement savings account?
Nope, the ARPA savings account,
We got interest on that?
yes.
So-
It's in an interest-bearing savings account,
Oh.
which is what the state recommended to do. So it's accruing.
Was it
and
was a
it's-
wise thing to do?
Yeah, I
It's a-
thought it was all.
So, and I sorry, not trying to go against you with what you just said, but there is enough, we have accrued enough interest that
Okay.
we could, if the board chooses to, without touching the allocated funds.
Okay, so let me take that back. all the ARPA funds have been allocated, but apparently we made some money on them. So
That's always a good thing when you can make money.
And there is $900 to.
There's enough over the last year that we could swing it without tapping into it, yes.
Perfect, and then if the town hears we're gonna match ARPA, they'll throw
Perhaps
some
they
out
will.
too, so. What do we think?
I think we should.
I move.
Go for it. I'll second.
Either the first, Sandy with the second, all those in favor of allocating $900 through ARPA interest to pay for or help support a pool pass for the library? Say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay? Okay, unanimous.
Thank you, I really appreciate that, and I know the community.
We're too
does.
easy.
So.
We're just-
Well, thank you for
And you
everything.
will get the recognition again. Like
We thank you for everything that you are doing. We have a phenomenal library because of you.
Thank you. And all 117 children's stockings were taken and their wishes were fulfilled for Operation Happiness in this community. So
Awesome.
that's an awesome thing.
It's a lot of gifts.
It is. You should see the meeting room in the library. Well, you can't see the meeting room because,
The warehouse and library.
yeah, I walked in for just a minute today because I just got back from vacation and it's like, oh, I can't even find the room now. So, yeah, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
Welcome. Good
Have a
night.
good night.
You too.
Sorry, I should have sent you that information ahead of time.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize that we were
Sorry.
doing that. I thought it was all. spent.
No, they recommended we put it into an interest-bearing account, so it's in one of our savings account, and it gets a hefty amount of insurance on a monthly basis, so.
Good.
Interest, sorry,
That's good.
interest.
Right,
Well, it
because,
should be.
yeah, because we haven't physically spent it yet. We've allocated.
We've allocated it, but we physically have the money in the account, so
Alright, cool.
it gains like $150 a month in interest, so.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's a.
All right, review and approval for, what? Review and approve changes to personnel policy. I'm too much in a rut with this agenda. What kind of personnel?
So this basically goes back to a few, probably last spring. Some of the requests, well, a couple were law changing this past year in July that took effect, so we had to make some changes. But then one of the requests was changing, Heather had asked we look at when we were talking about it, making gender neutral. So it's like he, she type of thing throughout our, so that was made, changes were made. The law part was, number one, you should have this sheet, kind of explains what we had to do. Ad required by the state of Vermont regarding workplace discrimination, we had to do that. And then the marijuana section was just, I think it's a year or two dated, so we had to make that change. There's a few clerical errors that were found that we also corrected. The only thing that we kind of added above and beyond a little bit was if you go to page, I'll find it. 10, we just changed just some verbiage on some of the policies. Customer information, again with cybersecurity and we call it CP&I, basically customer information. We just want to make sure that customer information is not discussed above and beyond our office, just for security reasons. And then we just wanted to add a little bit more verbiage to some of the operation of some of the equipment and so forth, just to make sure that's all always used for appropriate reasons.
This is all the stuff that's in red on 10.
Exactly. Yeah, any of the changes would be in red.
I assume it was all done by the lawyer.
Lori worked with our HR lawyer and bounced back and forth a couple times.
Okay, so this, I'm just trying to remember where we left off here. So back, when would that be, June? We were working on updating this and
We
Lori
did
was,
update it,
we did update it. So what is this?
because new laws came
New
out.
laws came out and then it was also reviewed for the he, she,
Changed the pronoun thing.
the gender. That was the two main reasons why we had to go back and do it again. Essentially, review it.
Right, there's some additional stuff besides those two. And the marijuana thing, that was an entry that the HR lawyer recommended?
So, it was,
Because it went from.
well, it was HR recommended.
Because we have no choice there.
But we had to, yeah, because of the
Stupid.
Because it's not
Have no choice.
illegal, but it's a
substance.
bad
It's basically
do it
treated
work
like alcohol,
thing.
not
Yeah,
an illegal
Yeah.
drug.
Right, so we turn it in.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, really, I guess there's not.
I don't think I have a copy of Sully. There's some my copy. So,
We have to have to make changes, we need a clean copy.
if they approve it.
If they
come back.
approve it, we can just have them sign it next meeting.
Yeah, looks very HR-y.
It does look very HR-y.
Yeah.
In a good way.
It looks good. Pronouns are good.
Motion to accept.
Move.
A second.
Eli the first, Heather with the second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Okay.
We'll bring back a copy next meeting. Sign off on it then.
Budgets.
Woo!
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, we need to make some decisions tonight, so I can,
I'm just gonna go shut and lock the door.
yeah.
Better be ready.
I'm at a standstill with budgets until we make some decisions, so have your thinking hats on, we've got a lot to go over, but I'm hopefully gonna do it quick too. I don't have enough answers on the general fund budget on the capital projects to feel comfortable to put a number in front of you guys until after tonight, so we need to go through this capital project list real quickly, make some decisions, and then give me a direction so I can pull it together.
North.
Literally. Moving forward with the, what is that, Avant? Did I say that right? The little green tractor?
Green tractor, yeah.
Oh,
Because our John Deere is,
We need to do something about the tractor, I just don't know that we wanna go with that brand.
Ken is looking at different ones, and I don't believe he has completely finalized a decision yet. He's looking at, what is it, the Wacker Newson as well. He's gonna try to actually get both. We've had the Avant here, he's gonna try to get a Wacker Newson and try it out. So they are
Should check out
still,
Bobcat too.
so he is still,
either way, we can put some money aside, just, we need kind of a quote.
We
to
know we
how
need
much.
something.
The other Wacker Newson seemed like the changing of parts up front was a little more labor intensive than.
and they're 8 to 10 months out, where the Avant, Pete's has one in stock.
And what
Ken
was,
tried the Avant and they did like it,
what was the price difference between the Wacker and the Avant?
$4,000,
Who was more expensive?
the Avant.
Okay, do we want to just budget for that and then
Right, then we can adjust. it.
whatever?
And
we
this
got?
is, the number that I have is 118,000, that's with all the attachments. That does not include the trade-in on the John Deere, which they're not gonna give us a solid number until we're not driving anymore, we're still putting hours on it,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
We can ballpark estimate that, but it's not gonna be as much as we want it to be, I do know that up front. But that
Never is.
tractor's kind of a sinking ship, so. Okay, that's a go. Let's get the easy ones out of the way first. Flashing crosswalk signs, we discussed one on Bismarck. I was wrong on the pricing that I told you guys too. The 14,000 was for 2 complete sets, so it's about 7,500 for one
Per
set, which is
crosswalk.
2 signs for the crosswalk signs.
Right, so that's a per crosswalk.
Yes.
Right.
So I apologize, I read the invoice wrong and gave you bad information. We
Yeah,
talked Bismarck, do you wanna do it, what do you wanna do, I guess?
I haven't heard anything but good things about the two that we have, especially the one.
They're
up at
beginning
the
to be
rail
used
trail.
more and more all the time.
Yeah, and I always see people trying to kind of hop through cars right there, so.
I did make a suggestion yesterday and I saw that it was done this morning. So that was good. I stopped and Lori said she would talk to Ken.
I don't even think she told him until this afternoon, so must be they noticed it on their own because
good.
he was busy and didn't come over until this afternoon.
Because where the crosswalks are, they were not being plowed. So you had to go through snow above your ankles to push the button, which is not good. But today they were done. So,
Not to get sidetracked too much, but is there a crosswalk on Bismarck to the other side of the road?
yes,
Yes,
There, what side, is it on like the upper side of Main Street or the lower side?
lower.
lower.
Yep, no, that's a good spot for it.
Okay, so we're definitely just gonna move ahead with one for this year.
I think that's a good number.
Okay,
Yeah.
who knows, maybe we can find a grant throughout the year and not have to budget it, but,
Well, and that isn't bad because even if somebody is down by the Masonic Temple, that's a short,
Half a block.
that's a very short walk if you don't feel safe to get up there and use the one with the crosswalk.
Or if you're up by Notch and you
Yeah.
wanna go down,
Mhm.
then yeah, it's a good spot. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna let John field this one a little bit too, but there's been some requests for Wi-Fi in Lincoln Park, especially during events, like
Harvest
if
Fest.
Harvest Fest is there, if
Dairy
vendors
Day.
use the,
For vendors or for everyone?
that's what you need.
I was.
That's what you need to decide.
Ask about that because didn't the town or didn't we? Somebody had Wi-Fi there. Why isn't there Wi-Fi anymore? When did that stop?
I think the person that was running it, what was that, Kehoe guy?
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
I don't think anybody's running it anymore. Or so they're not paying attention to it, so I don't know.
So
Can we adopt that?
yeah.
Yeah, and not have to spend to, yeah,
It's
Well,
all
we
the
have-
work-
it's already there, can we just take it over?
yeah, all the work was put into it,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden it just, which it did kind of line up, I think, with them moving,
Yeah.
but
But it is a pain in the park, like when I do Harvest Fest, I use Square, and if you
How's that
use
to do
it
with-
offline,
you have to
You
use your
have-
data.
well, and you have no way of knowing if the card is declined or not for about 48 hours, and you've just sold something to a stranger that you're never gonna see again, and chasing them down to get your money is a little tricky.
Yeah.
So there is a modem, we already have a modem for the EV charger. So all I would do is we would put a couple of extenders throughout the park. That's all I would do. So that's what the chart and the cost is, it's just
How much was that?
$1,800.
1,800. Would it be big enough? Would it be big enough for everyone, or just you think vendors? I mean,
What kind of
vendors
bandwidth?
should take priority, I think.
The bandwidth's fine off the modem, it's just the Wi-Fi coverage throughout the park.
Oh.
So we're just putting an extender somewhere in the middle of the park that would then hit more of the whole park.
Yeah, because the system didn't get towards the bandstand very well.
Put one on the bandstand.
So we would,
$1,800 is even high for that, I think.
well, it's just, we'll probably end up buying 2 extenders and then the cruise time that go up in the bucket, and put them in and all that stuff. It probably is, it's probably gonna be closer to 1,000.
Right, but it's always good to budget high.
Shoot, lost my train of thought. You said something. Oh, it'll come to me. But yeah, that would be. Oh, do you? And I guess at this point we would probably add it to the park permit, and a charge or not charge. I guess that'd be a decision for it. So if Harvest Festival, whoever comes in, you can make that decision. Do you want to charge or not charge, and then at that time we would give out a password for the Wi-Fi. It wouldn't be open, but that's again up to you if you want it to just be open or.
I think it should be open.
Could you,
Well-
could you have like a 5 gigahertz network be secured and like a 2.4 unsecured or something?
We might be able to do that, yes.
And give priority to the vendors and have a faster connection speed than everybody else.
Just like some people like to work outside too, and like they can make use of Lincoln Park with their laptop and do school work. Work for
But if we already
home.
have one there, that the town you know, have the free one that's there and
But
should
the
be
town doesn't
running.
have one up and running.
I know, we should get it, we gotta get it running.
The equipment's
For-
there.
Yeah,
It's just
still hanging on that pole.
I don't know,
Well, somebody should be using it. If they're not, we should be. I mean, it's
I know,
crime just to have it there.
Right.
yeah, just like the power, I mean, we're gonna be turning the power, not to that unit, but we are gonna be turning the power off again to the poles and stuff. Just because it brings some unwanted folks that, so, again, I just look at it that way too. I mean,
I think it's a good idea to at least have, like, let's just say you got Dairy Days in there and you got
Right.
30 vendors and 300 other people that are fighting for the same network. The vendors need to have at least a way to have priority over.
And that's why, I would recommend
Password.
locking, yes, exactly.
And I don't think it's a bad idea putting it on the Parks Youth permit if they want Wi-Fi. $25, $50, whatever it is for the whole event.
For the whole event,
For the password for whoever's
for whoever is sponsoring it.
right.
So is it possible, like what Eli was saying, to do like a free lower bandwidth Wi-Fi and then,
I'd have to look on the extenders. I mean, I know you can do it off the modem, but I have to look on the extenders, what that looks like.
I would be up for that. We should at least talk to town too about whatever's going on with their too.
Yeah.
There's
they
two
don't
of them.
duplicate,
Right.
and it's like they just need a reminder to do something with the Wi-Fi, I think that's all it is. There's
I
been
don't-
4 turnovers since that started, so.
I don't know if, I mean, I don't know how long before they move over to the armory, but in theory that won't work once they move to the armory anyway, because all that does is they just have a repeater inside the office that shoots over to that device on the pole.
What if we use our modem that's on the charger?
I mean, you can always put 2 modems up. You can put another
Right.
modem up there.
Can run 2 networks that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea.
Leave it.
Okay. I'm letting you take the bridge.
We'll work the details out later.
And then just, I guess, a follow, so we're good with that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was gonna take the next one.
The fencing for the bridge, is that still,
I just, it's hard to say, yeah, I'd like this done, and this done, and this done, next thing you know, we got a 20% increase on the taxes.
I wonder if a wild and scenic grant could cover some of the.
Ooh, the Missisquoi Valley.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
To do some of the fencing on the
they have
bridge.
some grants that are up to $25,000, if I'm calling correctly.
I'm pretty sure annually they get over 200,000 for
Right, but
for
it's like
just
what they
Missisquoi.
have,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
projects, but I wonder, we would obviously have to budget something, cause the project would cost more than $25,000. But it'd be a really nice proposal.
I think so, yeah, because it's John Little, right, the guy?
It was anyway.
He used to stop in and like, hey, you got any projects, let us know, because we got all this money. And we
What
got
was
this
that?
stuff.
There was a lady that stopped.
Lindsay Wright,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yep. Okay. I think that's a good idea. We should get in touch with him and see if that's something that we could do. What was the total cost for that?
27, or about 28?
Do we want to just set $3,000 aside? I mean, even if it doesn't get done this year,
Right.
put another 3 next year, whatever, you know.
Do we have an appropriations line for like that bridge in general? Like maybe we could,
It just goes under, because last year we voted to move it to a park, so now, it used to be under the light department, now it's considered a park on the other side. So that's what we were thinking, just if we were to do it, it'd become part of that park.
yeah,
Maybe
so I'm just
a
wondering if like we
general
generalize just put funds in there so that at worst case scenario, we kind of build a savings account for it. Best
Do it
case
when we
scenario,
can.
we get a grant
Yeah.
and we can have some matching funds.
How does that, is it parks, is it listed as parks maintenance as a line item?
Maintenance of parks.
Yeah,
Would that's technically maintenance of parks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, you could classify it differently too, but that just made the most sense with.
Yeah, I don't
opening
want
the
to
budget
earmark
that
it,
way.
because then we'd be stuck. You guys want to put $5,000 in this year? And then if anything, we could, you know, if it falls flat on its face, we got $5 grand to beautify something
Right.
else.
Yeah.
And if we can do better than that, do something else, well then.
We'll reach out to, can one of you two reach out to Wild and Scenic?
Yeah.
And, I think there's two groups, right?
Siskiyou River Basin Association.
I can, actually, I don't mind reading that one,
And
John,
there's the Wild and Scenic?
because we
Yeah.
still have that grant, we still have 2 grand on the grant.
Are they
that we
both in
haven't
that
done
same
anything
building
with
over in
yet.
Enosburg?
I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
John Cote's old place.
Yeah. Okay.
Pearl Street sidewalk, we did receive a grant for that. Careful what you wish for, it's kind of turning into a monster headache, where I guess the question that we're gonna end up asking kind of tonight is, do we continue down the path of using the grant funds, or do we just do it ourselves? Grant has a very, very, very strict process and timeline that if we continue with the grant, we're looking at 2025 for construction. And we put the RFP out for 45 days for an engineer and got thanks but no thanks, we're not dealing with the state process.
Why do you have to engineer a sidewalk?
So the process
Job
is,
security.
they don't tell you the process up, and it's the first time using this grant, so I wasn't aware of it, but they didn't tell, I didn't know the process going into it, but it's a very specific, has to be signed off on the state level. It's gonna turn into what our.
Can we just
Elm
give it back?
Street-
What's
We
the,
haven't actually accepted any money,
What's the match?
so,
Our match.
well, we submitted our grant for 66,000 to do the whole project, which was probably on the high side at the time because we padded the engineering. It does need to have an engineer involved because there's an easement and a fire hydrant and stuff, just the design, it should have an engineer. We had an engineer all lined up.
We're not widening it, are we?
It's non-existing.
It's non-existent, it's a whole new
It's the one to the
sidewalk.
armory.
Oh, from the armory to the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
Or
sorry, I'm on Church Street.
Church Street to the park.
Church Street to
We
the-
have a lot of projects, so.
Yeah, okay.
We're actually on Church and Pearl.
Yeah.
So if we were to spearhead the project ourselves and say thanks but no thanks for the grant, we're looking 66,000. That's probably high. The grant, they actually told us when we submitted our proposal that that was low and laughable, and we basically doubled it even though we don't think it's gonna cost that much. They may, in engineering, now that I see what's going on with Elm Street, the match, that if we keep the grant is gonna be about 24 to 25. Again, that's gonna be dependent upon the total cost, but if it's what we submitted for, which we changed it to like 125, I think.
Have we heard anything from the town as to when they think they're gonna move into the armory?
Last I talked to Jesse, they were like another 4 months waiting for the vault door, maybe, and that was probably a month ago. So it's not gonna be until next year.
Maybe. So I think we should just forget about it for now.
So I can keep
Like-
going forward with the grant process if everybody's okay with it and knowing that it's gonna be 2025. If you want to get it done,
I was hoping to meet with this folks. So Norwich, I went to a conference. And Norwich has some young engineers that they will do internships or projects, basically for free. And we have, or Abby doesn't know yet, we have a call tomorrow at 3.
I'm not here, so you have.
Oh, that's
right. I can hop on from home.
So we have a call. I have a call with this lady tomorrow to discuss this with Norwich. We're thinking other projects too, like the hydros and things. I got to understand what they're looking for from these students, but that was one project I was thinking, having an engineer that.
We might be very surprised as to how well it turned out.
I will say Stowe is doing a whole hydro project and they've gotten an astronomical amount of basically free labor and all the preliminary stuff done by teaming up with UVM and some of their intern programs. And it saved them thousands.
Awesome. So the question is kind of like around the timeline, and it sounds like there's extra that's gonna be needed because of doing the grant.
The state's process is we have to put the RFP out for minimally I think it's 30 or 45 days, then we have to take a 3-week review process. Like, they have a very strict timeline. So then once the review process is done, then they can do their initial engineering, then they'll put together the bid packet, then it's another 30 to 60 days that we have to have the bid packet out. Then another 3 weeks after that, 30 to 60 days to review the bids, and then the award period, then the construction period. I mean,
Kind of one of these gifts that you wish somebody had given you?
it's, yeah,
Sometimes I think it's just better to keep the state out of things.
it's frustrating because we're trying to do a good thing, and once I got all of the information, I mean, one of those times that I actually agree with Gary Dutton, and I just said that in a recording, that it's just, I can see why certain grants we haven't gone for in the past. I mean, do I think we should still keep going for grants? Yes, but this one,
They're
it's
not necessarily all for
turning,
us.
So it's gonna be 60-something thousand if we do it ourselves with no headache next year, or 28,000, whatever it is, if we do it by the state's game plan, and it'll be done 2025.
all my complaining aside, I don't care either way. I will go through the process and we can get this project done through the grant. I mean, yes, that's probably the more responsible way to go with it, but if we're looking to get that sidewalk in and get it done, the discussions come up quite a bit between, honestly, Gary and myself, and I cry to John about it every once in a while, so I just would like your input. Either way, I'm game. I mean, I'll do the work and put the time into it if we want to, but
I feel like we should table the whole sidewalk until the town's in the building.
I feel better about the sidewalk if we had a use for it.
Right, it's like we're
but
building a
still,
stairway to heaven here that's,
But what if the town moves in April of 2025?
then,
You know, and our sidewalks slated
and we can
for
talk about,
build that
And it's
in June of 2025.
It's a major access equity piece, not having a sidewalk to the town offices.
I'm not saying I don't want one there ever.
No, but I'm just like, I wish we could, it'd be really great if there was like a full timeline, but I know things are out of the town's control with stuff.
But we could always say,
Could we reapply for this grant at a different time?
it's a grant that's open annually. I don't know if it'll hurt our chances. We
Right.
could ask for an extension.
That's the thing, I don't know fully the grant world, but
I think we
yeah, you
have
got a
until
little section of
25.
this is, you gotta remember is, do we wanna kick something back? You know, I don't know, the grant people in the state talk, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean,
It
so,
could hurt us in other ways
Yeah,
if we
if
don't
we-
accept it
if
too.
we don't
I think
accept
is
it.
what John's getting at.
yeah.
yeah, take us back in rotation.
Right.
And
it's
part
more
of it-
matter-
If we go after something else that's similar, and they're
Oh,
like,
remember
well,
what they did?
oh yeah, we didn't kick
And
one
part
back,
of it
well,
too is, yeah, we're connecting for a lot of this gets spearheaded because of the town, but I mean, we changed it to connect to Park and Ride. I mean, we've been trying to promote walkability within the village, and maybe people will start utilizing that parking lot if it's easier to
They
walk
may end
that.
up coincidentally being done at the same time.
Right, that's the thing. 4 months for the town.
Could
It
be
could
12.
turn into 24 months.
Yeah.
You know? I personally think that we should go with the state grant. I think we're gonna save $30-something thousand. Does anybody care if it's done tomorrow? There's nothing.
No.
I mean, nobody's gonna so.
Bless you.
Take some savings. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of headache for our Abby, but we're gonna save.
I'll make you
30
cookies.
grand. So
No, I'm fine with it. It's just we've been kind of going back and forth, and I've been kind of putting this to the bottom of the priority list to get the RFP back together. But there is a quick build option with our, that's not the right word I want, but they have a list of like ready engineers basically of the state approved list that we can just reach out to. It's just, we may not have quite as much say in which engineer, but it'll narrow it down. Because we literally, the response we got from 2 or 3 engineering firms was, we don't like to say processes. We'd love to work with you. Think of us in the future. We're not jumping through the hoops. I mean, it's a 12-page RFP. I'm like, what can I take out of this? Because mine would have been a page.
but
And we still would have got the same result in the end, but yeah.
we shouldn't have any questions in the future with easements, with utilities,
Correct.
anything.
Because there
So,
is Church Street,
There's gas too. isn't there?
and you've got
Probably.
a fire hydrant, a telephone pole, and then we've got kind of a guide,
Hit every right.
anchor there. So there is some stuff that we need.
yeah, the corner of
need to
Church
really-
and Pearl's gonna be messy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, super.
We'll play their game.
We talked about Missisquoi Street paving from the intersection of Pleasant Street, so by the church, to Main Street. And it's not like, oh my God, we're getting a ton of complaints, the road's falling apart. It's just kind of, if we look at a rotation, so to speak.
The road
That
is pretty
one is-
rough.
I rode it.
Yeah.
I
It
walked
is
that
rough.
road the other week and I'm like, yeah,
It's
it's just.
So
Not pretty.
Gary got me some numbers, it would be about 100,000.
Is that tearing it out and redoing it or just skim coating it?
I think that was doing more of an like overlay,
Yeah,
just the
overlay.
shim and overlay. John, do you remember?
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
just, yeah. for-
No,
Um,
no.
No, just go over.
Yeah, what is it, shim and overlay?
Is
what
that
it called?
fiscally prudent? Will it be like the interstate that they did one on and a year later it looked like they'd never touched it?
No, I mean, just because it doesn't get the traffic.
I was gonna say
or
that's the
heavy
advantage we
traffic.
have.
The only thing I'm worried about with just an overlay is drainage.
So they would have to, Ken said they would have to do some
Yeah.
work around like the manholes and
You gotta
Around
pick those up
everything.
and you pick up the catch
they would have to
basins.
lift
Yeah.
them up.
Yeah.
Yep, no, those would be factored. Kenny and I were
Okay.
talking about it today.
Okay, as long as it doesn't affect that, I'm okay with it.
What's
Are
the
they gonna put a binder
situation?
down too?
Are they gonna, what I'm sorry?
Spray a binder?
I don't, well, you're speaking not my language right now.
And then what's the situation, like what's the quality of the water lines and
The water line, everything is good through there, because that was the conversation I had again with Ken today. The only thing infrastructure wise that would need to be adjusted is in front of the cemetery. There was a fire hydrant, somebody had an accident, took out the fire hydrant. We are going to move the fire hydrant to the back side of the sidewalk. It was out in the road basically. So we would have to make that move happen first, because we'd have to run the water line out to it and then move the fire hydrant. So that is the only infrastructure work necessary. So that was my first question.
Which that's in the plans anyway.
Which, yes, that's in the budget for the water department to do that, just, we're gonna wait till the spring. But, cause what I basically need to do is based off of tonight's conversation, we're looking at you're looking at 212, that's gonna come out of sidewalk. About $212,000 of extra projects.
Would that be like a 5-cent increase?
I think so. That sounds about right off the top of my head. So that's just the capital project. So what I can do is I can run it with Missisquoi Street in, can run it without. I can pitch a couple different scenarios to you all, and then
I'm
But I
thinking
need it-
like, what's in worse shape, the tractor or the road?
Right, that's
Yeah.
literally what I was thinking.
honestly, they're probably gonna tell you the tractor. Ken is constantly having to work on that
I
tractor.
think
The
the
seals are
tractor should
gone.
take priority, because the road isn't gonna
Then I think we should wait
go
and wait.
anywhere.
Yeah, nobody's falling through.
I said the same thing Orchard Street in 2019, and it did go somewhere. So now,
Don't say those things.
But definitely, we are very fortunate to have Ken and his abilities and his welding abilities and mechanical abilities, because he's fixing seals and welding that thing back together, and Ken has definitely done a great job prolonging that tractor, but it's definitely time to see that baby go down the road.
is Missisquoi the only one that's like rough-ish right now that we can think of?
Pleasant Street from the intersection of Missisquoi
Yeah,
to
lower.
School Street.
Yeah.
Lower
Lower
Pleasant, but
That's
the
infrastructure.
water line should be replaced before doing that, which is about 800,000. It's an old 4-inch
should- yeah,
cast
what's-
iron.
Do we ever figure out why that's so much more than the entire West Berkshire Road project? I mean, I know it's a bigger water line, but like, wasn't West Berkshire Road like 200 grand?
Oh, what the heck was the? I asked you.
quote here. Hang on 1 second.
let me tell you in the
email.
Like, yeah, okay, that's a 2-inch
Well, I
water
think
line,
that
but they
is-
went.
And then that's
4
fire
times as
hydrants.
far.
It's all new fire hydrants and everything too. It's not just a water line.
And hydrants aren't cheap, right?
They've gone up I think,
They're about almost
Yeah.
$4,000.
Yeah.
yeah, they got.
They, like,
25.
But
doubled
still,
it,
okay,
right?
$4,000, but $4,000 on
Literally-
an $800,000 project is nothing.
The engineering is going to be a tremendous chunk of
Yeah.
that as well, where the engineering for West Berkshire was spread out. We did the engineering like over a couple of years, and then the project itself. So it was kind of spread out a little bit differently. That 800,000 is everything.
And that's not really a burden that we can take right now after Elm for at least a couple of years, so.
I thought I had it. Maybe I don't have it in here. I can.
I'd like to see one with, Missisquoi in and one
Without.
without.
That's kind of what I was thinking. That would be the sacrificial
We'll-
lamb.
We'll get them the tractor, that sounds like they need that.
Okay, so I'll run it that way because we also, part of this conversation too is to talk, the split. I had initially said I was gonna look at changing it kind of across the board. John and I have been kind of talking because we're gonna have, maybe we'll get our light department. It's been, just a side note, update light department rate case. Went before the Public Utility Commission last week. They just barely looked at it. We were supposed to have the order Friday. It's now Tuesday. I still don't have it. So I don't know what the verdict was. They did not indicate that it was a yay, all good, you're getting 11.68%.
I thought it was already approved for some reason.
We, with the Department of Public Service, they agreed to our 11.68% because what helped us, we are hated amongst other utilities right now because we're the only one that pretty much got what we asked for. Everybody else got cut in half and then some. A, I think because we haven't been doing them, and B, we put in, when we hired Avery, we were gonna hire another apprentice, and we decided to take that out, so it dropped it from like 14% down to 11.68, so we took a good chunk out, and I think if you look at our numbers, it's justified, we do need that rate increase. So it's about another $500,000 in revenue, which will pretty much, well, I say that till you guys see the list of repairs we have for next year, close the gap a little bit on the deficit that we've been running. So it's definitely necessary, but hopefully, but John and I were talking about that, and then we're looking at water and wastewater increases, so I'd like to split, and I do have some that already factored into the numbers, is this building, the maintenance of this building a little bit, especially we're looking at, you know, between gutters and the basement, $20,000 to $30,000 worth of maintenance on this building this upcoming year. So either we can keep it to 70, 10, 10, 10, or we can split it 25. Personally, I think we should split it 25%, because whether the light department's here or not, this building would be in existence.
So I've been thinking about this quite a bit. I don't like the idea of the general fund contributing any more than 10%. So how we mix up those other three numbers is up for a lot of discussion, because those are like revenue generating, and the more we include tax dollars, the more one can argue that tax dollars are paying for a certain part of a public service that is paid for by
Ratepayers.
the ratepayers. So I'd like the 10% in the general fund. We could do 60, 15, 15 on the other two. Something I'm open for discussion, but I think that general fund number should stay.
Okay, for everything across the board?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't,
Right, kind of
I just
however we
don't-
split it up between the other three doesn't matter.
Because you could always argue, like, yeah, this building would still be here and we'd still be occupying it with pretty much the same staff we have if any one of those four are gone, or even two, or even if there's just one in here, you're probably going to still run the same capacity. So how you divvy where the money's coming from is the important part. And
30, 30, 30, 10.
yeah, even that on
Like this building.
this building, I would be okay with that.
and I will say, whatever we decide is going, I agree with that, and I have had that thought process of, you know, leaving the general fund the 10 and then adjusting the other 3 enterprise funds, whatever we decide will have a huge impact on the light department for the better and help with the cash flow and help in kind of getting them back on track a little bit more, plus doing rate cases more consistently for what we need. Your water and wastewater are gonna start, we'll see a little bit bigger of an increase when we do make that change. And then, well, I'd like to take this year and really analyze it and run the numbers. I feel like if we try to throw it together for this budget cycle, it's gonna be a really big hit for our ratepayers. And I'd really like to run it, because it's gonna take a lot of legwork for me to have to run a bunch of different budget scenarios.
So that being said, we should agree on a number. I don't want to shock, so to speak, any of the departments with, like, if we go 30, 30, 30, that's so far off from the 70, 10, 10, 10, that I don't want those departments to not be able to incur all the extra percentage.
I don't know that it would hurt him.
It was.
If we're just talking about, are we just talking
Well,
about this
you-
building or everything?
Everything, well, so John's salary, my salary, Lori's salary, Psyche's salary, your salary is all 70, 10, 10, 10. So it would be all the health insurance is split, all the maintenance for this building, so it's going to have.
Health insurance is for the office staff.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's going to have a significant,
That would. I didn't know if
Impact.
we were just still talking about this building or all of it.
Well, I think by this building, she meant like who works in here.
Yeah, I was just
Like,
talking
not
about
like-
maintenance.
Right, the maintenance of the building, yeah. But, so, that can open up a whole rabbit hole of, you know, nitpicking stuff apart of what, you know, like maintenance of this building versus maintenance of the garage over there, because they rent, and there's like water stuff here and there. And so, it'd be nice to have something just split across the board, because I don't know how your accounting software works, but is it? like
it's
you
all
put it-
manually done, we do
It
the
is.
split manually.
Okay. I mean, obviously salaries are gonna be the biggest,
Your salaries and benefits are your biggest.
salaries and
driver.
benefits, yeah. So,
And we don't have to decide on that split tonight, since I'm not going to screw with it, so to speak, so much for this year. If you guys, the trustees, if you guys are on board with that, and we'll really look at it this year. You don't have to make a decision tonight.
So you're saying keep it, the split, this.
We're gonna,
And work on changing it.
I guess if it's okay with the board, have Abby just run some numbers, whether it be 30, 30, 30, 40, 25, 25.
Yeah, see
50,
what comes out
20,
best.
And see what is best for all departments, because we don't wanna drag somebody down
No.
just to help another,
No.
you know, we're,
It's gotta be equal for everybody.
that's where I'd like, if we hold off and give me not to get it implemented for January 1st this year and give it us a year, I'll have a better idea what costs we're looking at in the years ahead, where the rates are at, and then I can run 5 different scenarios in front of you.
I think waiting a year's fine.
I don't know if you saw in that email I sent, I mean, just something to kind of put in the back of your brain a little. So in that email I followed up with Abby had sent about the split and so forth. And not that we should go crank up our water and wastewater, but it's going to be in a couple of years, we're gonna have to go through the same DPS type process for a rate case. So again, we're gonna have to put a case together, just like we do the light department. We gotta show that rapport, and we have nothing, and we gotta get 2% or something like that.
Can I ask you a question on that? Was that just for disconnects, or was it the full-on regulation?
Oh, that was full-on regulation though,
I thought
then.
it was just for disconnect.
Is
I
it
don't
just
remember,
for-
that's why I'm asking.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was on the rate themselves.
Because they snuck it into Act 47, which is with the landlord disconnections. I don't remember if there was more language outside of that.
And we'll review it, but I'm pretty sure.
But
it
it's
was-
coming, yeah, it's coming regardless.
Yeah, so again, not saying, I'm just thinking 5, 6 years down the road, you know, we don't usually have much of, it seems like in the past, there's not much of a rate change with wastewater and water, and or it's minimal. But even if it's 2% or 3%, we may have to go through this process. So,
Okay. But just to be 100% sure, back to the split between the funds. Nothing on the charter, nothing in the PUC mandates. We have authority to mix those numbers up.
I read through the charter, I've talked to other municipalities, and it's something that should be realistically evaluated on an annual basis and adjusted annually if we need to. But I don't think we need to go as far as adjusting it annually
No.
at all, because things don't drastically change, but I mean, it's been this way. I was talking to Lynn Paradis, who used to work here. They had just barely implemented this before she started working here. And I mean, that was almost 30 years ago. She's been almost 30 years kind of in with Swanton. So, 30 plus years ago, that was implemented, and it's not something that's ever been changed. But there's no mention of it in the charter. I mean,
So that only started 30 years ago.
the 70-10-10-10, I don't know what it was, if it was a different split before that or when they implemented it, but that's when they went to that split. Like she even said the one they have in Swanton, they're looking at right now, and I know Morrisville is looking at changing theirs too, because it's something that gets set and forgotten about, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I think it's one of those, like every 5-10 years you look at it and
Along with the grand plan of.
exactly. It's definitely not an annual thing that I'd want to look at every year. But that's kind of the approach, I think, where
Leave it alone this year and
leave it alone this year and give us time to really run the numbers and analyze it from every possible direction. Because the only catch would be with the PUC, we just have to justify what the split is out of the light department. But I think if it's for the better, it's fine. They may ask it in a rate case, they may not. Lynn said as many rate cases as she's been through, it's come up once,
So somebody does ask somewhere.
the PUC, just to make sure that the light department's not burdening more of an expense than what they should be.
Okay, so I guess if they're fine with what we have 70,
Well, we had
that
70.
seems like the high side to me.
It is.
So they're definitely gonna be okay with anything lower than that. But same goes for other departments too. They still fall under the umbrella of the PUC, right?
no,
No,
that's what I was
that's
just
what
you're
saying.
they're
saying.
going for. They're
Yeah,
trying to start
states.
regulating now.
Oh,
Yeah, we would
because
have
I
to
thought
go
they were, like any public
We can do
utility,
100%.
water, wastewater, anything like that was regulated.
No, you can do 50%, whatever you want at this point.
60% on all departments.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's, I mean, again, I think through it, I just think of it as a customer, how's it hitting me, or how's it hitting, because essentially it's everything, right? You're paying your water, wastewater,
Right.
electric. I mean, electric's, like, lack of a better term, subsidized by the town, because we
And
have a bigger population of,
7 other communities, right?
yeah, communities. So, I think there's more thought to be put in.
Yeah.
Are we else, everybody comfortable with that? I don't want to move on if there's still questions. Historical Society, they were under the impression that we said we were going to give them another $10,000 this year, and I told them no, and I even re-listened to the videos to make sure I wasn't going crazy. But I did just want to, I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't been in here to ask for more. We do have the 10, which I have to write them a check for. I haven't done that yet.
That was for repairs to the building?
That's going to go towards the roof.
The roof, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're focusing on the roof, just a heads up, the second egress that needs to go in, they haven't even looked at that yet. So I have a feeling this is gonna, I hate this term, but it's gonna circle back to us, that they're gonna be back in at some point asking for more money.
In that, well, yeah, the general fund.
Yeah,
Heat pumps in.
they did get the chimney
pump?
fixed. We did get a heat pump in there for them with the
They getting credits
efficiency.
for that?
It was all funded through
So,
Efficiency
yeah, it's
Vermont.
not funded yet.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was
They
great.
come to my house next.
Yeah. What else should we went through that? Just an FYI, the highway furnace cracked out. They've got it limping along. John Mercy's been over there, but it's
what are they? What are
natural gas.
It is gas over
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been in,
What
well,
went
there. House
wrong
already
with it?
crapped out,
Like-
just put it in.
Yeah.
guys, 2014, it went in, it looks like that furnace was never plumbed in properly to begin with. There's a lot of issues they're discovering with it. And Ken is working on quotes. We've gotten one so far, 14 grand.
Is it air, sorry, is it air or water?
No, it's air.
It is.
For a hot air furnace?
Don't look at me, I'm just the messenger.
It does seem a little,
Little.
just a wee.
Can you
tad.
get, you may know, can you get the 98% efficient forced hot air?
Oh yeah.
Only quote.
Well, it's 96 maybe.
Okay.
You can get a condensing unit that surpasses, I think 95% is their cutoff for most of the rebates.
Because
So-
Efficiency Vermont and Vermont Gas will pretty much,
Vermont
Pay
gas,
for
if
more
it's
than
98% efficient, you get a $1,000 credit. If it's less than 98, then it goes down to 800 and it drops down there depending upon the efficiency. Gary did call and ask those questions. Efficiency Vermont, I can look to see, I don't know if we qualify for those rebates, but I can whine and complain a little bit and see if we can get somewhere.
that might be just for
Damien Bluen's putting together a quote for us, and Courtney Bennett's coming to look at it as well, so we will hopefully have 3 quotes.
Rock Island maybe too.
Rock doesn't do furnaces anymore.
Really?
He had
Oh, right, yeah.
health issues and he no longer works on furnaces. So just an FYI, right now, theirs is running fine, set on the lowest setting. We can't set it any higher, which is, I think they're doing okay. This is the one, if you walk in, where like the office and their break room is, it's the big furnaces. There's two, right?
There's
It's
two.
2 there, 2 units there. The one out back where they park the plow truck and the digger truck, that one's working fine. But the 2 up there, they had problems with one of them, I think, last year too, but
And because it's 2 and they're like Siamese together or something. But we are still looking, because we are taking one out of the light department out, heat pumps are,
Is it like a modine looking thing?
no.
hang
Those
on
are
a
big-
sign.
2
Yeah.
big furnaces that are hanging up there, and a bunch of ducts hanging out of them.
Kind of sketchy looking.
But we have one up at the light department that's coming out, so we're gonna look into that.
Let's go back to coal.
This is
Gary keeps
Or
saying an
fire, I guess.
outdoor wood furnace.
96%.
That's what Gary keeps saying.
100,000
outdoor.
BTU, 96% efficient furnace.
How much is that?
Here's one.
Don't lose my quote either, that's not for you.
Too bad.
He's just comparing.
Bandstand, that's kind of more of an FYI, depending on how things
That's
are looking. So
4,400 kg.
just a heads up too, I do have the October financials on my desk. I need to just physically send them to you. I just have neglected that. We are looking at a heftier surplus if my forecasts are right this year because of the gap when we went from Rick to Dwight. We had a couple month period of 2 people, and Dwight does not opt into our health insurance. So that's basically created a huge savings for us in the budget this year. So there is cash if they want to do it this year, because we are
Do
trying
what, the bandstand?
to do the furnace.
Oh, jeez. How'd you get on the bandstand?
I think I
Because
said
she just said
bandstand
it.
and then I circled back to see
Oh.
if you're paying
I'm like
attention.
listening.
She said bandstand and
What are
then
we
she
getting
segued.
at?
You know.
Sorry.
There's a good time to work on bandstand.
No, because that just triggered me for some reason that I wanted to touch on that tonight. So I will send the financials out to you.
So yeah,
we
yes
are
on the
looking-
furnace, but maybe look around for some.
We're getting more quotes. This is just the first. John did the repairs for us last year. He was the first one we could get there to look at it. But like I said, Damien's putting together a quote and Courtney Bennett's gonna come look at it too. So stay tuned. Now bandstand.
$1,900.
John went to the
17
EBA
bucks.
meeting this morning because I had bugged Shauna and Sandy a little bit yesterday. There was discussion that the EBA was looking into funding, replacing the railing on the bandstand to match the dope boy.
That quickly went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah. So the concern was that it wouldn't be, anything that was up or anybody that's up in the bandstand wouldn't be as visible because you'd have the metal railing like you have
You
on the
go
dope boy.
to, I mean, I'm fine with it, but you go to listen, not to look through the schools to
Well,
see
we're also
who's
gonna have stairs.
got a white
up.
shirt on and,
Right.
you know, black pants. Anyway.
But yeah, that's
That's
true,
why
you're gonna have a
it's not-
10-foot opening from the front with the stairs, cause we're
How
going
it
to.
used to be, where there's a big
Yeah,
stairway that leads
it's
up
only-
all
But
the
this
way
is a
down.
lot cheaper.
And nobody
so-
can remember when the old ones got taken out.
I know, it's just like,
They're
maybe
just
they never
gone.
did, like the Bernstein Bears thing, you ever seen that?
It's a Mandela effect.
Yeah, that, maybe they never were there.
They disappeared the way the
So
old.
that
ones
is
did.
another kind of capital project if you guys wanna move forward, but I've been holding off even getting an estimate because we didn't know what was going on with the railings. Now, it sounds like they're gonna
Paint the railings. Just paint the damn things black. Is
Who
what we
said they're
decided
not
to
gonna be
do
able to
this
see?
morning.
Because
A
there's,
couple of people.
they must not know that we're planning on putting the stairs back.
No, well,
Looks
that
like
all
that's a-
depends on which park bench they're sitting on, I guess, to be able to look up at the bandstand.
Oh.
I'm really
Like you
not,
said, you're
I
there to
really
listen,
couldn't
okay.
quite figure it out.
So maybe possibly we can start with the stairs and see where
Oh.
that leads.
And this
So-
morning, EBA made the decision, I think we have the money to do the railing that's around the Vietnam Memorial. So that will be done to match the Doughboy fence.
Cool.
And you were gonna check with AH, right? That's such a terrible set
I
of
did
initials.
mention that the stairs would be are in the works too. Actually, the fence would be all around it.
Maybe it'll be easier for them to see once the stairs are there.
So I do need to pull together a price on the stairs to factor that in. But I was kind of waiting to see what was going on with the bandstand because that would dictate what the railing was going to be, and so
Where do we want bandstand funds to come from? General fund or the forest fund?
Silly,
That's kind of community betterment. That's what we set some of that money aside for.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So a settlement?
I think
so
so.
then I don't have to stress.
I don't think we're.
I like that
No.
term, forest funds. That's
We need to put more stress on
What?
happy for sure.
forest funds. I like
Forest
that.
fund,
That's,
Okay.
makes it sound so genteel. Yeah.
Do you want to make a motion to
For-
use funds, or do you want to wait until we have an estimate and then make
think
it
we should wait
official?
till-
Yeah,
estimate.
yeah.
Okay, just that we're gonna not put it in the budget, we're gonna just look at it,
Yeah.
other
Well,
funding
yeah.
source.
Do it the proper way, we'll get some quotes and
And then we'll-
such and
okay.
such and we'll.
Next on my list was the sidewalk in front of what is now Bumblebee Bistro. I don't know if you've noticed, Ken cold patched it. It was a liability. People could easily trip. It was coming up everywhere. It was a mess. So Ken cold patched it, but then he and I got to talking, and I've kind of ran this by John a little bit too. We have a thought to take that whole section of sidewalk out, starting like by Pierre's over to, what is that, School Street right there? And rather than have a sidewalk, we would repave it, and then when Steve Mack or whoever we have comes to our line striping, we would just do like basically like a long crosswalk like the school has for some of their bigger entrances, because that sidewalk, according to Ken, has always been a headache of it because of the
Well,
way
for
the
the amount
traffic
that
and
is getting striven over.
Now, is that
It's
going
not like
to
a
allow for
residential
the
driveway.
vehicles that are in front of the bistro to be out in the road even more than they are now, creating an absolute
I don't
blind
think so.
intersection?
I don't think anybody pays attention to that sidewalk.
Well, I
I
have,
walk on that
I have a
sidewalk.
question, maybe a stupid question, but is that our sidewalk?
Yes, why wouldn't that be our sidewalk?
You two may know more than this, about this,
But I
but,
thought we went to the road there.
but for some reason, I'm thinking that property goes straight to the road. Because at one point, there was outdoor seating and stuff, and it went to the road.
But wouldn't we wouldn't have the easement or right away from, what time did you have to leave to go? Did you say you had to leave? You don't? Okay,
They got a
just
ride?
checking on you.
They got a ride?
Or is the bus late?
8:15.
8, okay, I
Oh,
thought you said
okay.
7, that's why I just had a little, no, what is it doing?
Am I just pulling that out of thin air? I think
The
there's.
property
No,
line.
no,
on-
because Ken kind
There
of
is
said
something
something,
there.
but I believe,
The property line on mine looks like the sidewalk cuts out into the road. It's hard to see.
Maybe we ought to look into that.
Uh,
so,
We can, I believe Ken already did or has the answer that we can pay it.
Take sidewalk out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think something different should happen there, but just kind of like what Cindy said, I'm just worried.
But you're gonna have the white lines there now, that may be more of an indicator for people to,
I don't know if I would feel comfortable solely relying on the white lines because they also wash out and it gets confusing sometimes what is a sidewalk and what is not a sidewalk.
Do people really care though?
Well, I mean, they do.
you kind of
but,
took
like,
the
Usually
words
park
out of my
on the
mouth.
sidewalk.
Well, the people using the sidewalk care.
Yeah,
The people
exactly.
using the restaurant could care less.
Right, and it just kind of goes to like, you know, making sure that it's like set up the right way to try to get people to do the right thing. And it is definitely quite a headache I walk there almost every morning. And sometimes there's cars, sometimes there's not, and then I walk there in the evening sometimes, and yes, definitely I think it's gonna take some looking into different options. What's is there any kind of trafficking rule about, no, maybe not, because they do have big stuff like that in big parking lots. Never mind, I just answered my question.
Okay.
I was just saying, like, parking in the hospital, they actually have that kind of thing in the hospital, or in the garage.
I mean, it's new, or maybe you could look at, I don't know if they're working on it, but when researching speed bumps, they do have some of the raised crosswalks. So it's not a speed bump per se, it's just a hair higher.
Will that cause more damage to that sidewalk though? Because I think part of the problem is with everybody
plowing.
going over
Yeah.
it, that's breaking
I'm
up.
not, just,
Sorry, I'm not trying to go into it.
No,
I'm
I don't-
brainstorming out loud, like, I don't know
Yeah,
what it's
you
made
drive
of.
over a section of the paver and that's why it's all.
Yeah, because that's what was happening, it was cracking the sections in the middle, so they were popping up
well,
and,
not,
Would it be worthwhile to reach out to, Heather, you bring this up every now and then, it's like the accessibility.
So, like, you mean like V-Trans or local?
I wanna say
local
Amy
motion?
Brewer's involved with it.
Yeah.
What is that again?
Well, you mean the safe routes to school,
Could be.
but there's local motion, there's actually,
AARP would be one we could look at too, because of the walkability of the village. They have a lot of,
Just maybe see if
there was
they
actually,
have any
speaking of,
ideas.
I was just got an email from Amy the other day with somebody who wanted to like help with the accessibility to the school.
Cause it is the intersection of School Street. and
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah, a lot of kids are walking. Let's see.
I'm trying to remember, because Peter Pochop just sent, because when we were talking about possibly going, was that new crosswalk across by the Union, by the bank, and then across the driveway to the EMS building.
I have a small question on that, and I don't wanna get sidetracked too hard, but I've heard rumblings that perhaps if there's a sidewalk on that state road, it'll no longer be a state road. We'll give it up.
No, we already have the documentation.
You-
They have approval. We got
They-
approval
yeah.
that they approved that they're gonna put it on there and
Okay.
maintain the state road.
Cause I heard once there's a sidewalk in, they're out,
No,
but
yeah, we already got.
Montgomery still has their main street, maintained by the state, so there must be exceptions.
But he sent me a picture, I'm pretty sure it's a sidewalk. It's not painted. But it goes in front of, I think it was down like Paulette or something like that. But it's long, it's like 4 bays long. It goes right in front of the whole fire department.
And there's no cuts, no, yeah, no can't, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was, I'm sure it was sidewalk.
So,
I can ask Peter Pochop, he would know probably, or I can at least research and ask him in the state what that would look like. I can send a Google picture and ask him.
so I think reaching out to Amy Brewer wouldn't be bad. So Jonathan Weber is from Local Motion, and like what they do is it's walkability, bikeability,
Yep.
pedestrian, non-car related accessibility for communities.
And they may have a better idea, because I'm sure they look at this kind of stuff all the time, of how would you navigate over this little private parking lot and then your busy main street, and then, because the sidewalk kind of curves.
Yeah, because it does kind of come out and
See
then
if
it loops
they have
back
any
in,
ideas.
it's kind of funky.
make the parking lot go away and it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's one of those areas that Ken brought up, so they cold patched it, which the cold patch was better than what it was before, and it actually looks a lot better than it did. But just trying to brainstorm maybe more of a permanent solution, so we're not out there and the liability's diminished.
Preferably no sidewalk.
Yeah, that was our thought. We're getting there, guys. Sorry, I know this is a lot of stuff, but I just lost my train of thought. Is this Squeeze Street, Open Bridge? Oh, speed bumps. Speed bumps. We're gonna do water tower. Am I budgeting that in?
That's coming out of the forest account as well.
Okay, it was thrown out there, but we wasn't official, so I wanted to double check on that
And
one.
what are we doing with the 2 killers?
I say we put those on more tower.
Well, I thought that was a good idea myself.
There.
We warned them to be loud.
Are we just gonna stick with rubber, like the rubber type?
Rather than paved in.
Yeah, 'cause ECI, no, I think I left
But
it
we
on
aren't
the
just
desk.
gonna toss out the ones that nobody likes.
No,
No.
we can move those.
Good.
We're keeping them babies
They,
this time.
they appear to have damaged the roadway.
Yeah,
But
it's on my desk.
there's a orchard where they were.
This side, yeah. For dentation.
So do we want to do a pave-in on Orchard?
The
I was
paving,
gonna say, what's it cost?
hold on, it's on my desk, I apologize.
Pavings were like 6,000.
I think the price for 10 was like 30-something thousand,
Yeah,
so I
like
think it's
there's-
like 3-ish. But that was also, it's probably gonna cost more if we only do one, because
It was
then
like,
they're not
it was
mobilizing.
like $3,000 for one?
Cause it was, I
Is
think
that what you're saying?
Yeah.
quote was,
That's cheap.
3,000. That's cheaper than
That's
temporary.
the temporary is only like $700-800.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, I thought that was per section. There's 3 per road. Or
No,
something.
but then you remember the signage.
The
Right?
signage
Oh,
is
yeah.
what,
I still
You have
think
to have
3 is cheap.
4 signs for one.
but yeah, but let me grab the ECI. quote
Okay,
real
yeah,
quick.
yeah. Yeah, because I don't know, we had that conversation that one night, seems like everybody likes the speed bumps there, but they're apparently a little too rugged. So, what was ECI, do they have different like speeds or whatever?
They just have that table, like in Burlington,
Speed table.
that'd be like 15, 20 mile per hour speed table. That's paved in. Again, I talked to some different crews.
36, almost 37,000 for 22 foot wide, and this is based upon
But you say 37,000?
just about for 10, based on 10 each.
Wait a minute here, this is,
That sounds too good to be true.
well, hold on. Based on 10 each, plus or minus, 2 30-footers and 8 22-footers.
I think depending
Well,
on
how do we have 10 of them? Or
Well, because we did 2 on Orchard, I think it was 1 on Water Tower, 2 on Pleasant.
I think water tower needs more than one.
It might have been 2 on Water Tower.
there needs to be at least 2 on our tower.
2
Yeah,
on
I
Water
guess you
Tower,
have
2 on
6.
Orchard, that's 4. 2 on Pleasant, 6.
School,
Can we
Dickinson?
throw
Yeah, I
this
think
as
I
Two right in
mentioned
front of
I
mine.
mentioned Dickinson maybe.
I think we,
One on Dickinson would probably suffice.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
got 1 on Dickinson.
2 on school.
Put the one on Dickinson right by the funeral home, maybe
That's what I
that'll
was
take care of
thinking.
some of that problem. Since
Not
the
about it in.
owner seems to think it's cute.
Really?
Well, young people, you know, that's how they express their grief.
So, do we want to
Oh,
go
shit.
full speed bump on the village, or do we want to
I'm all
I
for
think it
going
was-
full
I
speed
would
You can
bump.
buy them all, put them in a few at a time.
So we're
It would
gonna
make
be
our
the place
progress
called speed
faster.
bumps?
We would have
I'd be
faster
alright with being
progress.
that place.
Yeah.
Speed Bump Village.
the memes we got after putting the first 2 ones, and I think you sent me a couple. I was in Maine and gotten,
That died
I
down
think
after
as
we
long as
did
we
it.
get the right speed
It
bumps.
did, when we first put them in, people were, but then all of a sudden it's like, hey, Ocean Street's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do, so there are the other variety too. I mean, we do have the removable ones that are also the more of the table that would be the 15 mile per hour ones as well.
Because the orchards are 5s, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 0 to 5.
Yeah, 0 to
Yeah,
5.
that's 15 is
5 is max.
We can put those. But we can use those somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
we can-
Okay, hold
Yeah,
on,
we
we're
can always
thinking
whip them out whenever.
2 on Water
I
Tower,
think they work quite well for farm trucks.
2 on Orchard, 2 on Pleasant,
Well, I said, I think we meant to add 3. I think we were at
3 on Water Tower?
Orchard.
Where would we put the
Or
third?
hadn't they said
Yeah,
they
they
wanted
have
one
to
up
do that
closer to
for
Main
another
Street?
Near
Yeah.
Damien's.
Yes, because from
We wanted
Maine
to
to that
split
first one,
from,
people
like,
go really
the
So
bank
fast.
to the
Damien's, then Valentine Drive, and then,
We're
other
there.
side of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so 3 on Orchard, 2. Okay, so 2 on Water Tower, 3 on Orchard, 2 on Pleasant, 1 on Dickinson.
Put one on the elm in front of my house.
That's
I don't
not
know
fair,
if we
I
can
want
do
one.
that. Anybody else been complaint? Church Street had some complaints,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
People do drive pretty fast on Church Street.
we didn't
put
have them there.
one like right.
Like right by Maple Park.
I mean, we're just trying to figure out where we're gonna put 10 speed bumps.
I don't know
So,
where
yeah.
10 came from.
I don't know either, but let's
I
just
guess
see
it would
if
have to-
water.
it would
Let's
have
just
to
see if we can.
That
Closer
might
to
be,
Pearl.
that just might be what ECI came back with us for the best price. We might not have said 10. I
It
don't.
says 10 plus or minus, so we're
Yeah.
at 5, 7, we're at 9 right now.
So.
Have you got some on the Water Tower Road?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
2.
You got 2 there.
That's 9 is kind of 10 plus or minus,
It is.
and that's.
And in the meantime, of plus or minus, we may come up with a use for the 10th one.
How many did we put on Pleasant?
It is
2.
the time of year where people.
One on upper, one on lower?
No, I was thinking. Well, I don't know.
2 on upper, 1 on lower?
For
I was
Pleasant,
thinking 2 on upper.
for
Then-
Pleasant, I put one in Lower Pleasant.
Yep.
You
I,
would?
you see morning
Well,
traffic?
do you want 2 on upper, or just 1
Yeah.
on upper?
No, I think you need, with the cheese plant and the people thinking that Upper Pleasant
One on
is
each
still
side of the
105.
East Street,
1 on each side of what?
of East
East.
Street, one somewhere before East Street, one somewhere
And then
after.
one on Lower Pleasant.
Yeah,
So that's 3 on Pleasant. What about Depot?
We have had.
Depot's kind of a weird street though, because it's kind of always wide. There's always somebody's parking.
But we have
Right.
had people from the Quincy and that area come in and complain too. But
But
it's
that's
the
good.
parking lot.
Right, it's like all parking lot,
Right.
there's no
And
shoulder.
so we've got a little lesson over on Orchard of people driving on people's lawns. So we
Mhm.
also need to be kind of strategic about
Yes,
yeah, I think I'd leave Depot.
need to.
We don't need to place them exactly tonight, we just gotta decide. Like,
So remember when you said it's too good to be true? Kind of is. We need 4 signs for each one of these things.
Yeah,
even, like, it is, but even still, I feel like that's
And what are
cheap to
signs?
pave in
250 bucks a
10
pop?
speed bumps.
Yeah, I think,
One,
no.
So we're gonna have 10 grand in signage.
I want to say 150, but I could be wrong.
Then you got a base and a pole
Then you got a base and pole, so you're about
Yeah, I think
250
the kit is like 300.
per
A
sign.
sign, post, and
Yeah, so we're 10 plus
well,
on
minus,
top of
minus 2
37.
is weird.
So we're touching 50.
It's 300 per bump, is that what you're saying? That's $3 grand. Right?
300 per sign. You need 4
Yeah.
No,
signs.
4
Sorry.
signs per bump.
4 per
Three-
bump,
it's what?
300 per sign.
4 per bump, because you have to
At
have
300
one
bucks a
bef-
piece.
saying
Yeah.
it's
It's
gonna.
1,200 bucks.
Per,
A bump.
per bump.
Per
There you
bump,
go.
yeah. And 9 bumps, 10 plus minus.
You're at 12 grand in theory in signs.
Half?
Do 5? I don't know.
5 is what our original number was, I think 3.
We
I
should
guess
just,
what is the, if we do.
3 and 2,
five,
The
what
water
price-
tower and orchard.
Yeah, if we cut that number down, that price may.
This will fluctuate, so.
yeah, well, okay. We can figure out where they're going later. Let's budget some money. You wanna just take that quote, use that quote for 5, including the signs?
That'd get us close, I think.
It'd be about-ish. But then, so we'll get 5 permanents, and we'll still have those 2 temps. We
Right.
can play around with those.
That puts us at 7, so we're close to the 10 original. So,
Let me tell a check with Ken, I mean, and I did my research, and it didn't seem like, people that plow over them, one second might have issues, but it's generally not an issue.
I think it was a matter of the angle that they hit the bump,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I can't remember what we talked about.
Water tower might be a little bit harder of a scenario because of,
And maybe we'll,
No
maybe you
curves.
talk to the plow guys and find out like isn't gonna work in the winter on water tower and we have to.
Well, yeah,
do
or if
some-
the temps go in
rubber
on water
ones.
tower, then they'll come out anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
As soon as the corn's done.
So ideally, without getting in too much depth of placement, I would like to see temps on water tower first, because reactions on that road kind of, it seems they're a little wishy-washy. They go either way sometimes. So if we throw a temp in and then turns out traffic's too loud, people are mad, trucks are bang over the top, something like that, then we'll
Now
at
they're
least
making
have the
noise
option.
in front of my house instead of speeding in front of my house.
Exactly, and at least then it'd be a temporary,
Yep.
and not like, well, you're gonna deal with it, you asked for it, you know,
Mhm.
one of those
Yeah.
things, so.
They're in there.
Yeah, permanence on Orchard Street for sure, because it seems like everybody over there liked them.
Yeah, I think once the shell shock wore off, it was pretty good.
You'll
And then-
figure out how to drive over them.
And then if we do permanence on Pleasant, I don't think people are gonna be surprised.
No.
It happened to Orchard, so they lost their speeding privileges on Pleasant too.
Such a
We
party.
can always put the two 0 to 5s on Pleasant this summer, and just to
Just to
experiment, see
Yep.
what it looks like.
give them a little taste.
Well, they're gonna be on
It's
Orchard,
just on,
or I mean, Water Tower,
Water
sorry.
Tower.
Are you putting those on Orchard?
The temps on
Water tower.
The 0 to 5 ones?
Just, I wanna see what the residents are gonna say, because they said they wanted them, and like, do something loud.
That's gonna be the worst case scenario for
And
loudness.
they-
Right,
You know.
and if they can live with that, then they'll live with the permanent. I don't
Right.
wanna make sure that they can,
Actually take what they asked
So what
for.
do you want? Do you want to order?
let's budget for 5. We'll use that number and it's gonna include signage.
So put that
Sorry,
rate
hold
into the
on.
budget,
No,
or
that's
do we
fine.
wanna try
I
to
sort of read it
finance
over your
it?
shoulder.
I wasn't even thinking.
Where do we
Glasses
want
on.
this money to
Oh.
come from?
We had talked about using the pool of forest money for
Water tower.
water
Water
tower
tower, that's- yeah.
anyway.
Right,
So that was gonna come right out of
That's
that.
why-
Should have let him buy his own.
Yeah, yeah.
So
so,
that's what I'm asking. Do you want to temporarily put the 2 we have up there, use that funds to buy 3, put them on Orchard for now, and then
I
think
don't,
still
I don't
wanna
think
buy
we wanna stock up
5,
on a bunch of
we just-
temporary ones.
no. So we have the 2 temps.
sorry.
We're gonna order 5 permanents. 3 on Orchard, 2 on Upper Pleasant, right?
That's where that's what I was gathering.
You writing that down?
Well, just, the money's the important part at this point. We can hammer it down.
We're talking
Yeah.
general fund stuff anyway, right?
Well, is this forest money or is this general fund?
The only thing we talked about using forest money for was water tower.
So do you want it to be road specific? I mean, it's gonna be high, we can cut it up, I guess. If there's 2, then it's, 2/5 of the roll.
I take it for what it's worth. My opinion is some of this should come out of the general fund because we've had so many people coming in and asking for us to do something about it, and
Yeah.
there
But-
is a cost to that too.
On
Have to
that
help
same
us do
coin,
something about it.
on that same point, the reason why we haven't done it is because they are incredibly expensive.
You're right.
And so this is in my opinion, it's gonna be a community enhancement, quality of life, living thing.
I say we see what it looks like in the general fund, and then if we have to adjust, we can adjust, because she's not doing a final budget yet.
Do we wanna save
We have a little
Abby
more-
some headache and put speed bumps in with the Missisquoi Street copy that we just went showing us to too?
So I can do a copy with everything. I'll do a copy with Missisquoi Street and speed bumps, and then I will do a copy with taking Missisquoi Street out and putting the speed bumps in. How does that sound?
If it's not too much work.
It's not, really, that portion of it's really not too bad. Okay. Cool.
But
Hey, guess what?
What?
I think we're done the general fund.
we're not done, I have a question.
Okay, never mind, Sam has questions. Oh, we're
Uh,
not, Elm Street, we're gonna talk about it real quick.
But that doesn't take care of the forest money portion of the speed bumps.
What do you mean?
Because if we're having just water tower, I mean, I don't think that's perhaps the right way to go about it. Split the cost with general fund and forest
For water tower?
for speed bumps in
Very
general,
general.
or just across the town.
Okay.
How much money did we set aside from that? 'Cause
We never put a dollar amount on it.
The only thing we gave you is that estimate.
not for speed bumps. I mean,
How much do we have in the forest account?
yeah, like
No,
didn't
we
s-
never put a specific
I thought
breakdown on it.
That's just sitting there
That's
in a
just sitting there
high
growing,
yield, right?
accruing interest.
I thought
But
we
we
said we were
never,
gonna do X amount for.
we threw some numbers
Like
out,
well
but there was
issues.
never.
Hmm.
We took some money out of it, I reimbursed the water department for their expenses, which was like 25, 29, somewhere in that ballpark. And then the rest is sitting there, and then we didn't specify, like, 40,000 is going to this is going there. We talked about using some for community betterment, using some for the water department, for just like capital improvements if they need it, but we never set a dollar amount to anything.
Right.
Then I'm alright with splitting it.
Just for the ease of budgeting, just cut it, whatever number we budget for.
So I mean, if we did that, budget for 10.
In the middle, on the white line there, in the middle of the highway, they groove it out, so if you, okay, could that be done like 20 feet, like on the water tower road? The whole width of the road for about 20 feet, grinded like that. If people came onto that, wouldn't they slow down?
It feels like a tabletop. New York has those.
Yeah, it's
What
like
are
on
they
exit
called?
ramps and stuff, when there's
You
a,
gotta
when there's a stop sign approaching, but it's a big turn, like getting off the interstate, with
Yeah.
a short exit ramp.
Is it a speed table? What is it?
Rumble strip, the speed rumbles. or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
something like that.
I just know in New York.
I can ask about plowing over those. I don't know if they are struggling with plows catch them. I don't know. Can't be worse than any other potholes, I guess.
Speed, I don't know, in my opinion, speed bumps have kind of proven themselves, so.
What I'm talking about, would that ice up in the winter and be
Good.
like glare ice?
I don't know winter-wise what they're like.
I don't know.
They may not be rumble strips in the wintertime.
So I guess
Ice skate strips.
we could look at it if she does the budget like she said she was gonna, and we decide it looks good, say without Mrs. Coy with the speed bumps, then we can still do 10 if we're gonna
Split it.
split it anyway.
Right,
Like if this is
And
oh,
Lower
that's not
Missisquoi
too bad.
could get one. Lower Missisquoi.
I'm like, where?
No, never mind. I'll go back to sleep. Lower Pleasant. I made a new street. We just don't have enough.
We're losing.
We'll
them
put her in
now.
this.
no, exactly.
That's a dirt road, but you
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around what is going on and how many different combinations of.
I've obviously been to Lower
Where the
Missisquoi.
money-
So basically,
Partaken
I'm
of
gonna
something.
take
How
the
we do?
$36,000 number for my budget number, and then from there, depending on
Split
what the
it.
numbers look like, we could, in theory, go with 10 using the other
If
half
it doesn't
out of
look too
the
bad.
Right,
forest
but
money.
if that's the case, just budget the full 36 on the general fund and then the forest money.
Right,
up
that's
to
what
the
we're
10.
saying.
Okay, yeah. I guess that'd be the easiest.
That's
way.
what she's gonna do anyway, is put the whole thing in the budget.
Right. Okay, you made it a lot easier, yeah.
I don't know.
Just
Budget
well to
stuff.
get there.
Yeah, well, because then that makes the difference if there's gonna be 5 or 10,
Right.
depending on how big of a hit.
And, or if we look at it and go, well, you know, maybe we could only do 3 and then we could do 2 out of the 4, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I promise we're almost there, guys, but we do have some bigger.
You've gone
Discussion.
over your
Almost, I
allotted.
thought you said you were done budgets.
No,
No,
I said
general.
almost in the general fund,
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's the hard
She
one.
did throw that term in there.
but there's not much on the other ones at this point. I just want to touch base on the Elm Street sidewalk because this is potentially going to come into play too.
For wastewater?
No sidewalk, general fund.
Oh, okay.
My concern at this point is time is that we've basically re-engineered that whole project, so we're going significantly over our engineering costs. The total award amount that we got was $417,000, and then our match is $104 for a total project of $521,000. Well, did you look at those D&K estimates we got today?
Yeah, there were 5.
So between the engineering and the construction to complete this project for 2024, we're looking at another $527,000. So we're basically, I need to talk to John and have him talk to Peter Kochok my understanding was is that we could not request more funds.
Oh, sorry, you need an additional 500,000?
No, that's not right.
Or is that the total
100,000
up?
for engineering, and then this is the actual construction, which was 426,921. On top of the 77 that we've already spent. That's how I took this.
Right, that's not another 500,000 though.
Yes, it is. 426,000 to do the construction, and another 100,000 in engineering.
That's a total of 526, when right now.
526,921.
And right now we have we only have 407,000.
And we've
What
already
total?
spent 77,000 in total, 62,000 out of the 417.
Okay, so right here it looks like currently the project cost is 526, and what we
And that was-
had budgeted for was
17.
521.
Say that again, John?
Let me go back and look at that, cause I know
'Cause
it was higher, it wasn't $500,000, I don't understand it being $500,000.
$100,000 for engineering, construction engineering, just the engineering to see the project through. So this is when they're on site for everything to oversee the project.
Mhm.
And then the actual construction itself, with all the material and traffic and everything else that they added and backfill and everything, came to 426.
So that puts it as 526 total, and we had budgeted 521.
That's what they sent today.
But that's not above and beyond our grant though.
No, what I'm saying is our grant money that we, of the total amount for this project that we got awarded was 417. We've already spent 77,000 of that 417. So we only have that balance left, and they're estimating another $526,000
On top of that.
on top of what we've already spent. So my concern is we gotta pony up more money.
Right, but not 500,000.
Yeah, not
No.
5,000.
I've never once said it was 500,000 that we had to portion. I'm saying the total project cost for 2024 that DNK sent us today is 526,000. We have for grant money, we're awarded 417.
Right.
So we gotta
And
come
we've
up with
already
the
spent
difference.
77, so 417 minus 77, so you're at 350.
Yeah, 455.
So there's that's the difference.
We're still talking
At
extra.
first you said
100,000.
500,000, maybe I'm sleeping too.
I think you're just
$71,000 is what we had to come
Right.
up with.
Yes, thank you.
potentially.
Where's
I
it
think
gonna come from?
that proves my next point. So,
'Cause
I
it's-
think their engineering is extremely high because they ran it 2 different scenarios. And one scenario came up with 50,000, but because scenario 1 came up with 100,000, they take the higher of the 2. So it's all a crapshoot guesstimate at this point in time. But bottom line is, yeah, we've got 70 to 80 grand we're looking at possibly financing out of pocket.
How did we end up with this discrepancy?
Just
Because
because of the price changes.
because we changed the whole scope of the project and had to have it re-engineered
What did we change?
where the sidewalk
Where the
is
sidewalks
going.
So it wasn't going up past McDonald's. So the issue.
This is for the Elm Street sidewalk project or the
Right.
Elm Street
Sidewalk
water
project.
wastewater?
Sidewalk.
Oh, gotcha.
Which we're struggling with too, because we're also,
Thank you, Leonard. Have a good
Good
night.
night.
we're also struggling with, because in the initial quote, we're not doing any work on upper Elm, the north side of Elm.
Right, yeah.
We're not doing that work, we're only going from, and there's basically no work. The only
Going from like JV Drive.
actual
Yeah.
extension is gonna be across McDonald's, and then, so we're really struggling with their numbers.
Because I thought when we talked about it, some of the project costs would go down because there's less sidewalk than initially
Correct.
budgeted.
That's why I'm
That's
struggling with
why-
it.
Kinda, because they originally had it going up water tower, correct?
No.
No.
No, but
No,
It went-
that's
it
scrapped
went
a long time
In
ago.
front of McDermott's, in front of my place, a little ways up Water Tower, and then cut across the bank, rather than right at the intersection.
But this also includes a sidewalk from 105 to the emergency services building up the driveway, correct? So that's
So that's
maybe
an
where-
add?
I think that's, because
Or you
a
may
lot of
not.
times it goes by linear foot when you're pricing out sidewalk. And I think that may be, like, engineering on the important 100 feet, find out a price of that, and then just add the other 150 feet, where that 150 feet, you don't need anything.
Well,
I don't know.
the other thing too, I got to double check with Gary that they have in there, which is gonna be another timing logistics portion of all this, is the water project, because they have it budgeted in there as well for, the fire hydrant that kept getting hit. There's no fire hydrant there now. So in there, it's engineering kind of around that, but that's not gonna be there anymore, because when we do the water project, that fire hydrant is moving.
Speaking of that, I was just thinking, like, we should put a sign at the end of East Street, like, no right turn for trucks.
So it was entertaining watching,
They can't, once they get up to the
On
top,
Main to turn in, on, oh wait, no.
like, if they're coming off of East Street, they shouldn't turn right, they should turn left and go out of town that way, because when they get up to the end of Pleasant Street
try to
by
take a
Jimmy's,
left?
they try to take a left, and that's where they're short turning that corner, I think.
I don't know, them trying to pull out of East Street's awfully entertaining too, the one I saw the other day.
That whole,
front row seat.
Wow.
Anyway.
I know, I was thinking of
Oh,
East Street.
okay.
If they were going up through the back into J-View Drive, that would all be taken
The
care of.
amount of like times my house rumbles because they slam on their brakes because they missed the turn. It took me like
Sam, you can
2
keep that
years to
copy
get
too,
used
it's
to that.
okay.
I'm still like, we're building a sidewalk to a park playground that isn't even in existence yet.
Oh, they have the playground funds and they're building the playground this
It's starting
spring.
in the spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, one little chunk of it.
They raised enough money, they're expanding the size and adding more features to it.
I don't know, the project I saw was like a massive take over the whole property thing.
Yeah, that's.
But it's in phases. But
Maybe
also
another
a
40
lot of students walk up there for soccer.
If I see one kid run across the road from McDermott's again after this is built, I'm gonna pick him up and I'm gonna bring him back to school and I'm gonna say, walk it the right way.
Do it again.
This is gonna be your
I
second
might say
chance.
that.
It's a duo.
Yeah, I don't know. This doesn't look right to me. I
It
don't
didn't
know.
right from the get-go.
You got this today?
This
Well,
was
we've
an
had it.
updated
Yeah,
version
we-
today.
It was updated.
Okay. I don't know if it'd be worth a phone call just to make sure that we're all on the same page.
I guess my point of this too is we may potentially have more funds that we're going to have to look at for the match, because I think we need to have the conversation with Peter Pochop again if there's any more funds, but my initial ask on that in the beginning was that, well, no, there's no more funds, if it goes over, that's on you.
The state is in charge of this, correct?
It's a bike ped grant with the state, yes.
So the state is also, how do I want to word this? So like, the state's in charge of how it's being done, and the state is also in charge of paying for it. So you'd think they'd be able to figure it out.
I think the problem is that we had a plan, COVID hit, we went back, decided,
Yeah, they
and
had
we don't really
extended
like
this
that
for-
plan, here's a different plan, had to re-engineer it. So the construction cost is not changing from what was initially budgeted, but we're basically doubling our engineering, and that's where we're taking the hit.
But that, so I don't really, maybe, but you're going from, what was it, 1,400 feet of sidewalk to like 500 feet.
That's what I had a.
So yeah, we lost our engineering on that whole project.
Pearl Street sidewalk, 475 feet for 66,000.
Okay, but eat the engineering for the north side of Elm, never gonna happen. Eat the whole state mandated curb stuff in McDermott's and the whole, and even like easements and stuff, like we were planning on paying for those. None of that is gonna happen anymore. It's already all there, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me.
So I think
No.
there's still more.
You're right. It's a struggle.
Welcome to John's life every
Yeah.
day dealing with this. There's still more that needs to get figured out, I guess. But one way, shape, or form, we've got to get it figured out because it is potentially going to impact our budget. We may have more that we're gonna get soaked for on this.
To me, it sounds like we have $444,000 available to spend between engineering and construction.
Can't have
No.
444,000 when we only were awarded 417.
Well, we have a match.
Well, we have our match.
It comes out, our match comes out of the 417?
No,
Right, okay. So between our money and theirs, we have 444,000. That's after what we've already spent. So you should be able to build, I would say, hopefully, at least 444 feet of sidewalk for that price.
I don't disagree with you whatsoever. I just, the way that this is rolling, but, it sounds like that whole construction packet needs to be reevaluated from what
Yeah.
John just said, so. Okay. Now we're officially done. General fund. The next one won't take very long, I do promise that. Light department has been a bit of a struggle. I know I haven't put anything in front of you guys for them yet. Alan is doing his absolute best, but vendors are not getting back to him on some stuff. We are looking at, due to the high water, we may be rescheduling. We're supposed to have divers and engineers on site next week. To repair the trash racks, to inspect the tail race of the village, to do the oil change on the Kendall, bunch of stuff. With the high water, I have a call in, they're gonna be calling me tomorrow to discuss, but I have a feeling that's gonna get scrapped until next year. Safe
Where are they
divers.
getting the oil from? Where they're getting their oil from?
So safety,
I know a guy.
safety of the divers and the fact that it's probably gonna take longer could hurt us on the financial side if we move forward right now. So Alan and I have discussed this at length for like the last 2 weeks, and we're gonna go with the recommendation of Fairbanks, but right now it's probably looking like the plug's gonna get pulled next year, which,
What, can we go that long on an oil change?
yes, I had that discussion with Alan yesterday. It's,
Hasn't been 3,000 miles yet.
yeah,
What's involved in changing the oil?
you have to
You
pull,
pull the whole unit.
you have to
I
pull the
didn't,
whole
I'm just
unit.
curious.
It's, don't ask Alan, he doesn't like it when I tell him he has to schedule. It's a pain in the ass, there's just a lot of manual labor hoisting it out, and then they have to put everything back in, and there's so many bolts and this and that, they have to,
You ever bring a crane down, right?
they have a crane in there.
They do,
Each,
okay.
each unit has a crane above it to hoist them out. It's a pain in the butt. I've watched them do it and laughed at Alan and walked away because of the grumbling. But
A lot of grease.
yeah, well, the guys are covered head to toe in grease. It's
Well, their joints will
not-
be good for a while after that.
not a fun job, but it's kind of
Hasn't fixed
entertaining
me
to
yet.
watch them do it. AMI, I don't know how much of an update. Do you want to do a brief? That we're ordering meters January,
I
Rolling.
mean, yeah, we
finally rolling.
finally rolling. With AMI, we should be ordering meters. We're starting to figure out both the water side and the electric side. Software, the whole 9 yards. So,
The electric side, we'll be able to do remote disconnects, correct?
correct.
Water too?
Those
I
get
wasn't
put
sure
up
if
at
that was
curb
a thing or
stop.
not.
We get,
No.
no, yeah, those are the same.
I didn't know.
So we actually have
They
it.
have a little.
Somebody's driving around, I think this week or next week.
This week, I think.
Yeah, testing out, because they have to speak Wi-Fi from the house to these little adapters that are put on the poles and then back to our hub. So they
I
should,
have a question on disconnect, not to get off topic, but let's just say there's a house fire. Does the fire department have access to remote disconnect?
They would have to call us and we'd have to do it. They do that now. They call our
Yeah,
guys
they
in
call
and our guys go on
and they
site and
call
shut
it.
the power off. They will
So that
radio
could
it in.
reduce our response time quite a bit if someone could just do it from.
It could save the fire department a bunch too.
Yeah.
Timing wise, they could probably would.
Somebody could log on from home and be like, okay,
Yeah.
we need to kill that.
The neighbor's house goes to their.
The 911 address was wrong.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Continue.
it's gonna be a new world, because they already like to do the Christmas light thing.
That's Alan's favorite time of year.
So now we never hear from them.
Main Street's just jingling.
It's about one of the few times you'll see Alan smile. On that too, we are looking into new financial and billing software all around for 2025. My
We
goal,
need it.
You have no
So
freaking
bad.
idea how badly we need it. Preaching to the choir on this one. VEPSA has put together some demonstrations. We've looked at Spry Point, which they have probably maybe a little bit better on the billing software side, but they don't offer a financial package, and I hate our financial software, I'm not gonna lie. I get spreadsheeted to death because I have to export everything, and going forward it'll all be there. And then it's called NISC. They're my preference and who I'm leaning towards a little bit more. Not a little bit more, a lot more. The financials package is really nice and their billing is really nice. They have email, text capability to our customers. You have the remote disconnect tied in with AMI. Stowe has them. Ludlow has them. I'm actually, once we get through year end, so late January, early February, gonna send the ladies hopefully to Ludlow for a field trip to go over the billing software, have Lori dive into this solar side of it with them, because they have the same net metering stuff that we have, to kind of feel them out on it. But it's not really going to be optional, it has to happen. You know, if they come back and say they absolutely hate it, I will entertain it, we'll look at something else. But
Plus
the
we have the EV rate change coming at some point.
the time and use is becoming is a thing that's coming to us, and we don't have that capability right now. Ludlow loves their new software. I mean, they're not even fully accessing every component to it. We actually have a call Friday that VEPSA just put together, and it's going to talk a little bit more on the billing side of it. It'll probably be a monthly fee for the software, and the biggest cost is going to be if we house a server in-house, or if we have NISC house the server. That's the biggest cost. And data implementation is going to be a big component, but that will be split across the 4 funds, knowing that the 3 enterprise funds are going to burden the bulk of it. But we do use it for general fund too. So for the financial side, we would use it for the general fund. So
There's other cost savings. We wouldn't be doing the billing stuff with the billing anymore.
we basically, the folder stuffer that, I don't know if you guys have ever witnessed Psyche battle with that thing, that can go away. They would do all of our mailings for us. If we had an insert to go in, we get it to them, we send them the file, they mail it all out. I forget what Ludlow told me they saved in postage. Not only that, but you have a paperless option. So I want to say they said that 30% of their customers switched to paperless.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that cost savings off the bat too. So, and the only thing that would hurt getting rid of the folder stuffer would be tax bills, but Psyche and I can handfold those and get those out in a day. I mean, it's not earth shattering to not have that.
How many tax bills do we do?
550.
Yeah, that's nothing.
I used to do 1,000 in Bakersfield by myself. So. But just future planning, that is coming down the road. It is a necessity for us at this point. Our software, we are so limited in what we can do. The bills will look very similar to VEC. VEC is also on NISC as well.
Once we get AMI, can we put that in the
So
bill?
my hope, I'm kind of going against Ken Sanamore a little bit, because he said to do AMI and then do billing. I kind of want it to roll out somewhat at the same time. I don't want to have all 3 of us learn AMI to turn around and have to learn it entirely differently. I know Psyche is the one who does our billing, so she's on board with that. Like, to
Is
not.
it possible to get them to go online at the same time? Because I think it'd look better as a customer to get your bill like, whoa, look at all this new information I have.
AMI may, depending on what happens next year, may roll out.
Yeah.
May. Could potentially roll out a little bit sooner. Whether or not.
Friday's Ken's last day anymore.
Oh, that's right.
So we'll see.
He's
There's-
actually taking his place.
Lance.
Lance.
He's gonna be 1 day a week for special projects only though, I think.
Just that's just for P10.
Oh, that's just for P10?
Yeah,
So
I think
he's
some
not
other
even gonna
things,
do.
but mainly P10. Yeah.
So on that, with AMI, we'll have some financing to look into. There's a water cost, there's an electric cost in there. we've been talking, because we also have the lead inventory that the EPA is mandating. We've been looking into companies that potentially doing the meter swap and doing the lead inventory. To be continued on that conversation, because we're trying to sort out exactly what we have available. There is some state money, but it got a little convoluted today, and I need to reach out to Bruce with the state. But we are looking at the water budget. I mean, we could probably lump the financing for the, if we have to, for lead inventory and AMI together for whatever their portion is. The catchy part with the water side is we don't have to change every meter, because we have census and Neptune. Just the census meters have to get changed, and maybe a few Neptunes that are older, but so we won't know until we're on site exactly what that cost is gonna be. And there is money allocated in that budget with VEPSA for meter installation. It was supposed to be for electric, but the plan is to have us do in-house installation, so we can reallocate those funds towards water installation if we contract it out. So, to be continued, there's gonna be a couple slight changes on the water department, but I don't wanna go any deeper in that until we sort out a few things. Wastewater, we don't have any drastic changes. Again, electric, we're looking at some maintenance, hydraulic hoses for the Kendall. Possibly, if we get.
Okay.
Digger
Um,
truck.
Huh?
Our digger truck.
Digger truck is coming, we're gonna have to do financing for that.
That's coming, it should be coming soon, right? January?
January, February, March,
Said
by the end of the
Q1.
first quarter is what they said.
Cool.
So I will follow up with them to hopefully get a better timeline, because I don't wanna get quotes from banks until we get closer, because they're only good for 30 days.
Right.
I just lost my train of thought, there was something else. Light department. This year's gonna be a bucket truck, but heads up, or not bucket truck, digger truck, but 2025, we're gonna be talking bucket truck. Fortunately, we're gonna get hit back.
No more
to back.
standards.
No, and no more Dodges.
I'm sorry, I don't care what he says. No more standards.
We have a lot of line maintenance upgrade projects out of the light department to talk about too, but that can get put into the actual operating budget. We need some upsize, new poles, this and that, but AMI is the biggest, the solar project. They're going for what, end of 2025? Implementation of the solar.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So, a lot of stuff
A lot of irons in
happening,
the fire.
Mm-hmm. Not going on.
but all good stuff, all necessary stuff, but it's gonna be a busy 3 to 5 years getting a lot of these projects and our infrastructure caught up to where we need to be.
Welcome to 2021.
Yeah. So, hydros we're looking at. We actually have an energy audit coming, people coming on Tuesday. There's funding with the state, but now I've got, the furnace situation up there. Dave actually hit me up today about heat pumps down there. I haven't had that conversation with you yet, but there's a lot of necessary work we need. We've got the basement work here. There's just a lot of stuff, but a lot of good
that
stuff.
hasn't been done.
Correct, and we're trying to spread the burden out and not take the hit at once and prioritize, but then we all know you come up with a plan and something breaks and you pivot, so. But I promise that's it. I'm sorry, I know that was a lot, but I needed to kind of get some final direction. And then next meeting, I don't know if we want to try to keep the agenda a little bit lighter, because my plan is to have all 4 budgets next meeting for everybody. The general fund, we have a little bit more time to play on, because we have, really I don't need that one finalized until the end of January, but I want to start looking at it. But the other 3, it would be ideal to have, if we don't walk away next meeting with approval, the first meeting in January, because that starts January 1, so I don't like going until March to approve those, which I know we used to do. We should be approving those, so. I gotta pin Alan down. The light department one might be a little scary, but if we ever get that damn rate case,
Yeah.
it just makes me nervous. Why are they dragging it out?
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Somebody probably just forgot to call you Monday morning.
I was gonna wait and,
Oh,
Oh,
I was gonna wait
there
until,
that is on my desk.
yeah, I was gonna wait until tomorrow to be like,
People hours
hey
or
Eli, where the hell's my final order? Not you Eli, or attorney Eli. Cause you'd laugh at me and say call it the word.
I just tell you go ahead.
Yeah,
do whatever you want.
It is right. Sounds great.
so I promise, shutting up now.
Okay, no, that was good. Got a lot of stuff done. Thank you very much, Abby.
No, thank you, I appreciate everybody staying with me on that one.
Almost, yeah, barely.
I was struggling there for a little bit myself, so.
No, too many numbers. All right, other business. Wait, do we have a manager's report? No, good
I
to go.
knew Abby was gonna take the win right out.
Don't worry, he's had to sit through this twice, cause I was
Yeah.
in his office going through everything with him earlier today, so,
Rehearsal?
pretty much.
I guess we can let him off the hook and
Can I do this? Can I not do this?
All right, sorry, Heather, other business.
I was wondering if there's anything that can be done with a water pooling on Main and Depot. It's pretty intense, you can't avoid it no matter where, how you're trying to walk by.
We are looking at it, yes. It is being looked at,
Cool,
yes.
I'll take that for an answer right now.
The only time it's really tricky is if you're crossing Depot to go to Main, and there's a car coming down Depot, there's a semi coming up Main, and another semi coming down Main, and somehow you gotta figure out how you can go around the pool without getting hit by either one of the two trucks, or not being in water
Trust
up
me,
to your shins.
We have the I'm gonna call it the dumb session between me, Ken, and Gary, me being the dumb one saying, why can't we just do this? Why aren't we just doing this? And they're both like, that's not gonna work. And I'm like, okay, I quit.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as it's being looked at, I'll take that for right now.
Yep.
It just is, and it was so icy today. Cause like it was a lot of water, and then there was the dealing with
Their
that, but
guys-
then it was a lot of ice to have
They
to
go
walk
and
through.
sand
They've been salting it and then going back and scraping it, and they're spending a fair amount of time trying to deal with it. But John's on it. Solving the world's problems over here, right?
I did walk late this afternoon and I walked by Lorraine Scott's house though, and I did kind of, I don't think as large as she has had before because there was nothing on her lawn. I stopped and looked, but there was water out where her sidewalk stops and the road begins that probably would have been at the top of my ankles
Lower
if I'd
Pleasant.
stepped in on Lower Pleasant. It kind of looks like there's a
There's a
there's
in the road.
quite a dip, and that's right where all that water is pooling. Kind of like the road falls down here, it's kind of like 104, it's,
Just a heads up on, last meeting you talked about Franklin Foods. I have an email out and request out for John to present, but I haven't heard back, so. Just a heads up on there, and then, Abby's gonna, might kick us under the table, but the 26th, 27th, I know, it's our next.
I'm good.
Oh, you're good, okay.
I'm off the 26th, but I'm just taking my house back for my children. Sam will learn this very soon.
Alright, so then we'll stick with the 26th unless anybody has an issue with that.
I'll
Wait.
plan.
Wait, say that again, I did.
So
Well, our next meeting's the 26th,
that's,
but Abby's, I first had some question on that. 'cause
I was
it's-
whining because I'm off that day, but I have, again, just to reclaim my living room is usually what the day after Christmas is.
so instead of Tuesday, Wednesday.
Potentially.
I
The 26th
you
is
wanna-
a Tuesday.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Move the
maybe
meeting
moving it to
one day.
Wednesday.
Yeah, instead of doing it on Tuesday,
day after
do it the
Christmas.
day after on Wednesday.
I'm good with the 26th, but
He likes the 26th better. I don't care either way.
I can make either day work. My mother-in-law's gonna take William for a day or an overnight, but she's flexible that whole week, so I don't care.
Good for you.
As long as it's not the day I'm at this meeting, I'm
I
fine
don't
with
do
it.
that. I do just send him over and don't even ask. It's the beauty of living next door.
My,
Coat
mother,
book,
my
coat book.
mother-in-law is not home more than she's home, so
I
we have to
believe
schedule.
that.
We have to schedule.
She's a busy
Okay.
lady.
Hold
wonderful.
on. What? I just heard a bunch of it doesn't matter. We go on
So does
26th or
anybody have a
27th?
preference?
26.
Okay.
Keep it on
Keep
Tuesday?
it the 26th?
Get it over
The
with.
Tuesday? Okay.
I don't want to come here on my birthday.
That's your birthday?
I don't blame you.
27.
Oh, really?
yeah, I've been at basketball with the 27th.
What is with
too,
you
so.
and Trevor and these December right around Christmas babies? Mine's
I have 3.
Trav's the 22nd.
Jesus was the 25th. Other business.
Which is Jesus in the manger already at the church?
No, I don't think so.
I thought he was.
I don't think he's, I haven't looked at them. Well, he's never in church until on the 24th. I don't know if they've stuck him outdoors or not.
I thought he was, but maybe I missed.
I'll have to go by and look.
Sorry.
Might have been a sheep laying in the wrong place or something.
Kid, we just side note too, how awesome the park looks with a change of colors.
Yeah, it looks good.
Like, doesn't that look amazing?
And the amount of
It
people
does.
at the parade.
Isn't that amazing?
That was a lot of people.
It's a really good event.
Yeah.
We sold a lot of sausages.
Trevor took his handing out candy cane job quite seriously,
Oh, yes,
saying
he
he can
did.
vouch to that. He was so cute.
He was a busy little man.
He's a little busybody, that's for sure.
Any other business before we wrap up the meeting for the night? Nothing? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Eli had the first, Sandy with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. All right, meeting adjourned.